Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome back to the recap and breakdown. Today we're taking a look at UFC 317, Ilia Topuria versus Charles do Bronx Olivera, which just took place yesterday, Saturday, the 28th of June, 2025. We're going to be starting off with the early prelims and getting into the main event at the end. If you guys do enjoy this, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. It was an insane card. It had a lot of good finishes, and we're going to take a look at the first fight, which didn't include one, which was Jonathan Deniz versus Alvin Hins. And Alvin Hins has a head like a cinder block. This guy took a lot of punishment from Deniz in the early rounds. He was already bleeding. He had a welt on the right eye. In the second round, he got a welt on the left eye. Going into the third round, both guys were completely gassed. It looked like Alvin Hins was coming on strong, landing the better strikes, landing the more devastating shots. And Jonathan Deniz was just kind of holding on. This guy got, I think it was a cup check. He got kicked in the nuts, or it was an eye poke. I don't remember what it was, but it was in the third round with about 3 minutes left. He just kind of stood there for a bit, took some of his energy back, and just kind of, he was just waiting because he was starting to get gassed out. Alvin was just starting to come on strong. He was trying to put him out in that third round, and Jonathan Deniz just kind of took that time off from the foul to try and get his head back proper. Now, I did think in this situation, Alvin Hins was going to get knocked out. I think one of my best bets of the week was Jonathan Deniz to win under 1.5 rounds by knockout, or just by knockout in general. It did not happen. Jonathan Deniz, I do believe, had the ability to knock this guy out. He had him really hurt inside round 1 and 2. He cracked him with some really good overhands to the point where Alvin was barely on his feet, and Jonathan Deniz did not force the pressure. It seemed like whenever he did hurt him and he got him against the cage position, you're left with you're not left with a whole lot of ability to do anything with the finish, especially when Alvin's holding on to you and just trying to force a clinch. You have to, Jonathan is trying to throw, but he can't. He kind of puts all of his weight into all of his punches, and it just unfortunately didn't end up happening. But he did win by decision, 29-28, unanimous win for Jonathan Deniz. Took out the UFC newcomer, making a short notice debut. I mean, he should have been able to knock him out. It was short notice, but it is what it is. And if you guys take a look on the right-hand side here, my picks for UFC 317, we had 9 winners, 4 perfect. We had McKinney by submission, Rodriguez by KO, Pantoja by submission, and Topuria by KO. We had a couple perfects on there. Not too shabby. We're going to move on next in the prelims. Now, this should have ended a lot earlier than I thought, but we had Jacoby Kobe Smith versus Nico the Hybrid Price. Nico got cracked in their first round really bad. He got dropped. Jacoby Smith made an incredible error in going to the ground with Nico Price. Nico Price has really good jiu-jitsu. He's pretty dangerous. He has a high guard because he has really good flexible hips. He loves to get up there, maybe threaten an armbar, threaten a triangle, which he did against Jacoby Smith. I think Jacoby, when he rocked Nico Price early, very bad. I do believe he dropped him within the first minute and got into that full guard. I think if Jacoby Smith dropped him and forced him back on his feet, he would have been able to get that knockout victory inside round number 1. I do not think it should have even gone over 1.5 rounds. Jacoby Smith, clearly being the higher power fighter, should have been able to get it done, but we lead it into later stages of the fight where we see him get into his first round 2 inside the UFC, and he doesn't look good. He genuinely doesn't. He doesn't look good at all. His gas tank is gone. He's very, very labored shots. Now, Nico Price is also very gassed. He did get hurt inside that first round. He did get rocked quite bad, and he was left in quite a shitty situation out of that first round, still on his back. Oh, no, maybe he was up. I think he might have been up on his feet now, but regardless, Jacoby Smith should not have fallen to the jiu-jitsu guard of Nico Price. He definitely should have just stayed and traded with the guy instead of following him up. Listen, if Robbie Lawler can knock him out with a couple right hands holding his neck, I think Jacoby Smith could have stood up with him inside that first round and put him down a second time and put him out. Granted, leads into a second round, gets his first submission victory ever inside of his MMA career. Good for him. He just kind of caught Nico when he was getting up. Didn't really expect the rear naked choke to get sunk in that quick. And Jacoby Smith got it in super, super quick. Puts Nico Price out and gets his first submission victory inside of his MMA career. Very, very good victory for Jacoby Smith. Again, would have liked to see maybe a little bit more range play. Would have maybe liked to see, these two guys maybe stay away from the grappling, because I think this could have been ended a lot earlier. Jacoby Smith being a fucking powerhouse. The way this guy knocked out Preston Parsons, I would have loved to see it with Nico Price. Unfortunately, did not happen. Now we go on next on the prelims. A lot of people were straying away from Terrence McKinney this week, but I don't know why. Terrence McKinney versus Vyacheslav Slavoklas Borshev. And I had Terrence McKinney by first round finish, under 1.5 rounds. I thought submission was the way to go. It's just, You have Borshev, who got exposed by Chase Hooper. He got exposed by Chase Hooper in the second round. The grappling was already there for Chase, and he almost got him in the first round, but leads into a second round. And then you have Terrence McKinney, who is basically everything Chase Hooper could dream to be in 5 minutes. Terrence McKinney has 5 minutes to be literally best mixed martial artist in the world. The guy looks like an absolute world beater for 5 minutes. And now against Borshev, you have some big red flags that should have gotten to you before this fight. You have the Tom Nolan loss. That's a huge fucking L, because Tom Nolan's a striker. Vyacheslav Borshev thrives in striking. He is literally a Muay Thai fighter and could not even get started against Tom Nolan. And then you have Chase Hooper. You have Chase Hooper, whose takedowns came really easily, and the striking came really unfluidly. You know, his grappling was clearly taking more of an advantageous position than his striking. He tried to stray away from the striking and just try and get him to the ground. And that's a big fucking red flag, because you have Chase Hooper, who's getting tagged up and gets to a takedown, and then you have Tom Nolan, who isn't getting tagged up and can't get a takedown. So you have basically Tom Nolan and Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper is Terrence McKinney in 5 minutes, and Tom Nolan is Terrence McKinney in 5 minutes. He literally has the best jiu-jitsu and striking for 5 minutes. He just does, and he looks a lot more calm. Terrence McKinney, over his last fight with Damir Hadzovic, he's looking better. He's looking calmer inside of his fights. He took his time with Borshev. When he got the takedown, he got it really, really fucking well. And then when he leads into the submission, he rolls into it. It's with flow. It's not like he forces the position. He's letting Borshev move, and he's not just forcing an end. He's trying to figure out what's going on while the fight's happening. And old Terrence McKinney would have just rushed down the pipe, forced something to happen, and would have just got lost inside that second round afterwards, like he did against Nazim Sadikov or Ismail Bonfim. Nazim Sadikov, being the heavy striker that he is, I can understand why Terrence McKinney couldn't get him out. I can understand why Vyacheslav Borshev couldn't get him out. But I think this calm level of Terrence McKinney cracks Nazim Sadikov, forces him to the ground, and gets a submission on him. And I think this Terrence McKinney is absolutely fucking beautiful. The way he handled Borshev and the way he handled the early seconds of the fight, he's just calmer. He looks more complete. I think Terrence McKinney now can start his way among the UFC lightweights. And honestly, fantastic victory for T-Rex. I would have liked to see him maybe go for a knockout. I mean, granted, I did pick submission. I bet submission. But I think in that situation where he could have landed some really good back or back of the head shots. Not back of the head, but you know what I mean, from back control. I think it would have been beneficial if he moved a little bit more inside the grappling. But, you know, when you get a mounted guillotine or a Darce, you're gonna rip on it. You might as well. And he had Borshev in that for like 20-25 seconds, which is fucking insane to even last that long. Very good win for Terrence McKinney. And that leads us into, unfortunately, in my opinion, probably the worst fight of the night. I would have liked to see Viviane Araújo do something, but she just couldn't get it done. Tracy Cortez versus Viviane Araújo next on the prelims. And I had Viviane Araújo plus 3.5, and she couldn't even steal a round. Tracy Cortez and her boxing is just so much slicker. Her wrestling is just so much better than Viviane Araújo, which I personally did not see happening. I thought Tracy Cortez in the grappling was going to be a big fucking problem. I thought when it really came down to Tracy Cortez getting on top, Viviane Araújo was going to have some scrambles for her. She was going to be able to use some of her jiu-jitsu and try and get her in a leg lock position, or, you know, a high triangle, or, you know, use the butterfly guard to try and sweep the position and get on top. Viviane didn't do shit. Viviane really sat there for 3 rounds and got her ass beat. I don't know if Viviane even won a round. I don't think she did. I'm pretty sure they gave it unanimous 30-27 to Tracy Cortez. Viviane Araújo looked like absolute dog ass. Now, we can look at the scorecards. I don't... hold on. Wait, Viv... Araújo. Take a look at this here. It should be 30-27 though on all judges' scorecards, because if it's not, it's fucking disrespectful. There you go. 30-27 on all judges' scorecards. Some people gave her a 10-8 inside the third round, which, yeah, realistically, she should have gotten a 10-8 for the third round. She shut down everything Viviane had to offer her. She just was lying on her back, literally the entire round, eating huge shots from Tracy Cortez. If there's anything that could get closer to a 10-8 than just halfway killing the guy, I would say it's this one. I like Tracy Cortez a lot. I really did think she was going to win the decision, but I did not think she was going to be able to dominate Viviane Araújo the way she did. I thought Viviane Araújo eventually was going to be able to get either in the first or second round. I thought she was going to take one of the rounds, because Tracy Cortez, being a 5-round fighter, having those main events in her arsenal, she does have the capacity to go distance. Now, when you have Viviane Araújo, this girl's usually a 3-round fighter. I would have liked to see her absolutely blow her gas tank either in rounds 1 or 2 and just force a win on the round. But unfortunately, she just didn't even get it done. Her corner was telling her, listen, like, you got to go for a finish. She lays on her back for all three rounds, essentially. and couldn't get it done. And a fantastic win for Tracy Cortez, an unfortunate upset for myself. It's not really an upset. It's a plus 200 underdog, but it is what it is. That leads into an absolutely explosive finish on the prelims, which was Jose Delgado versus Hyder the Hurricane Emil. Now, the people picking Hyder Emil this week did not watch the William Gomez fight. He was getting outstruck later in the fight by William Gomez. He has a lot of problems with his openings. He steps back a lot. He leaves his hands down sometimes. The openings up the middle are there. The uppercuts and knees are really, really devastating. And that led into Jose Delgado in the first 20 seconds trying a takedown. Didn't get it. Got right back up and just fucking started a combination with a straight and then a knee right behind it. Because Hyder Emil does not leave his hands with the ability to block the knee. He does not move his head off the center line when he backs up. He just kind of backs up straight. And Hyder Emil ate that knee, was out cold. He was out cold on the way down. And unfortunately, this is one of those fights where I went to the washroom and I come back and they're fucking shaking hands because I missed it. I literally fucking missed it. I blinked and I missed it. Jose Delgado got him bad, put him out cold. Jose Delgado had some follow-up shots that most likely he did not need to land. Hyder Emil ended up getting right back up to his feet afterwards, and he was not there. He was looking past the referee, looking right at Jose Delgado, and then 20 seconds later looks at the ref and says, I'm good. And he's like, no, you're not. Like, no, you're... I'm pretty sure it was Mark Goddard, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Mark Goddard. He was like, no, you're not. You are not okay, sir. You are not... You need to calm down. You need to... And he's like, sits there, gets calm. Jose Delgado with an absolute fiery finish. Moves on to 10-1. Again, proving that this guy's a fucking problem on the feet. Jose Delgado and his Muay Thai striking is a fucking problem. This guy's knees and leg kicks are like no other, and he has hands like fucking cinder blocks. Look for Jose Delgado to make a run at the 145 title. This guy will be in top 15 in the next 2 years, or in the next year. I promise you that. He will have another fight soon, especially because he only took 20 seconds of damage, which was nothing. I don't even think Hyder Emil landed a significant strike. Fantastic victory for Jose Delgado. I would have liked to see a little bit more. I would have liked to see maybe 5 minutes and maybe would have seen some grappling or some striking or whatever. Just didn't happen, unfortunately. It's a big question that we had to get answered, and we had it answered. Hyder Emil did not have the sustainability to deal with Jose Delgado. He did not have the durability that we thought he had, like he had in the fight against William Gomez or Zhang Young Lee, where Zhang Young Lee cracks him early, and then they just go to an absolute fucking brawl against the cage. Jose Delgado clearly is just a better fighter, more selective shots, better output. Give me Jose Delgado in the next fucking 5 fights to win, but a fantastic victory at 145 for him over Hyder Emil. Now, we're going to move on to our featured bout of the evening, or our featured prelim of the evening, which was Gregory Robocop Rodriguez versus Jack the Joker Hermansson. Now, a lot of people were having Jack on this fight for some reason. They were having him to win by decision. They thought if Robocop got to a 3rd round, he would start to gas out and maybe he'd falter. I don't think anyone's watched any of Robocop's fights, and the fact that the first 2 rounds are his best, and this guy is an absolute fucking savage. He has a lot of scar tissue on his face, so when he got touched early by Jack, he was already bleeding. I don't think that should have really influenced the judges' scorecards too much, seeing as Robocop was landing clearly some more significant strikes. Jack was getting tagged pretty good. We didn't really have any clinch situation. We didn't really have any grappling attempts. We just had Robocop try and force the pressure on a Jack Hermansson, was keeping his hands down a little bit low when he was backing up. And that's the thing. Jack Hermansson, when he throws, he leaves his head in the center line. Jack Hermansson, when he backs up, leaves his head in the center line. Jack Hermansson, when he backs up, does not have his hands very high. Robocop threw a right and threw a left right behind it after Jack threw something, because when Jack throws one, he leaves his hands down for the second. For some reason, I don't know why he does it, but he does. And he's been tagged before because of it, especially against Cannonier, especially against Roman Dolidze, where he gets tagged from the back and then just ends up getting knocked out from back control. It's almost exactly similar. Left hook, short left hook, snaps the head back of Jack Hermansson. He goes out fucking flat on his back cold. He was unconscious for probably 2 minutes. It literally looked like Jack Hermansson was dead in the octagon. He was laying on his back, staring up into the heavens. This guy was fucking gone. I couldn't believe it. Robocop couldn't believe it. Robocop was even staying on the sideline making sure the guy was okay. He could not believe the amount of fucking power he just put through that guy's face. Robocop Rodriguez, the actual... By the way, reminder, the grappler. This guy is not supposed to be a striker. This is literally a guy who's more what's the word? More successful in grappling than he ever was in striking. Continues to get fucking knockouts. Knocks out Jack the Joker in less than 1 round, which is fucking ridiculous. Now, granted, you should have seen this coming if you know anything about Jack Hermansson and his curse since 2019. This guy will win a fight. lose a fight, win a fight, 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 lose a fight. And after beating Joe Pyfer last time, there was zero chance he was going to beat Gregory Robocop Rodriguez. One, with the curse. Two, with the fact that Robocop is just better on the ground than he is. He's better in the striking than he is. And Jack would have just had to survive 3 rounds realistically and lose the decision. Good for Gregory Rodriguez. A fantastic win on his record. Now we're going to move on to the main event of the evening. If you guys did enjoy this so far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you have not already. We did have an absolute insane stream last night. It was awesome to watch. I was losing my mind. I did get a little upset with that fucking knockout prop of Dennis. I got a little upset with the knockout prop of Smith too, since he got a submission. This guy's ass bothered the fuck out of me, but we're going to move on and get it done. Anyway, starting off the main card opener, which was Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Now, I had Felipe Lima to win this by decision. I figured that after the fight with Ioni Barcelos against Peyton Talbot, most guys would have taken the grappling approach to Peyton Talbot. Most guys would have ripped him to the ground. Most guys would have started with the boxing and gone right to the takedowns. That's exactly what Felipe Lima did. It's exactly what he did, and he failed. He failed, 1, because he gassed. 2, because Peyton Talbot fucking worked on that grappling. Like he did. I don't know if anyone noticed that. The level of grappling that transpired from January to June for Peyton Talbot is fucking significant. That is 6 months of hard work. Clearly. Very clear. In my opinion, right after that fight, it is clear that Peyton Talbot went right to the gym. He just did. Like, there's no way that he didn't. Peyton Talbot, with an absolutely exceptional grappling game. Now, we had Felipe Lima, in my opinion, wins round 1. We had Peyton Talbot kind of force the issue in round 2, and then we lead into a round 3 where it's close. It's really close, and Felipe Lima makes the huge mistake after already attempting the grappling positions and getting reversed on by Peyton Talbot, who's starting to learn very fucking quickly how to, sprawl out properly and how to fucking lean his hips and how to lean his weight, because this guy rotated Felipe twice or 3 times when he was getting taken down, which was fucking super impressive. Felipe forced another takedown attempt and said that 3rd round, got reversed on, ends up on his back, and that's what lost him the fight. If he would have just stayed striking, he was landing the better shots on Peyton Talbot. If he just didn't force the wrestling and listen to his corner specifically told him, don't go for the wrestling. We can win in the striking. Try the striking. What does he do in the 3rd round? He lands a couple good strikes, and then as soon as he feels like he has Peyton Talbot a little bit hurt, he goes right for the grappling. Huge mistake by Felipe Lima. A little bit of an issue with fight IQ, but a massive improvement for Peyton Talbot. It's just a massive improvement of skill. You cannot take that away from him. You cannot take the consideration that you can take the consideration that Felipe Lima gassed. He's in round 3. He's tired. He's more of a finisher. This guy's looking for submissions and stuff. Even though Lima has majority decisions, he does look for the finish consistently. He always tries to improve his position and get a finish on guys who he's fighting at the moment. Now, you have Peyton Talbot, who's just looking for a fucking mauling. He didn't get the mauling, but he did end up on top and land absolutely devastating ground and pound against a Felipe Lima who just couldn't get up. He couldn't use his butterfly. He couldn't use his legs. He literally just got stuck on the ground in the middle of the octagon with Peyton Talbot on top of him. Attempted a couple rolls out of position, attempted a couple Grammy rolls, attempted a couple leg lock positions, just could not get it done. And Peyton Talbot wins with flying colors. I mean, I would have given it to him 29-28 very clearly. I should have probably taken the spread on Peyton Talbot plus 3.5, the guy I was talking about in the betting talk. I was a little bit worried about it. I didn't know how it was going to play out. I didn't know if Felipe Lima was going to submit him or something, especially after that fight with Ioni Barcelos, who's a bit of a vet himself. He doesn't really go for finishes right now, but he just kind of tries to win. That's what Ioni Barcelos tries to do. And Peyton Talbot, I saw a lot of holes that I thought could have been exposed, but clearly I am wrong. Felipe Lima making the drop from featherweight to 135. I thought even he was going to be able to bully Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot looked bigger. Peyton Talbot literally looked like the bigger fighter on fight night. Good for him. Congratulations on the good win. Now we move on to the next main event of the evening, Beneil Dariush versus Renato Manny Moicano, and this isn't even close. Round 1 goes to Moicano specifically because of the knockdown. In my opinion, Beneil is winning the rest of the fight up until that point. I didn't really give Moicano any edge in the fight whatsoever. It felt like if this fight went distance, if it started to go into that 2nd and 3rd round, Renato Manny Moicano would start to gas, which he does tend to do time and time again. Listen, when he fought Benoit Saint-Denis, Renato Moicano lost that 2nd round. He got a 10-8 on a guy in this first round. Literally busted him up so bad his eye was unable to be... I know for a fact Benoit Saint-Denis could not see out of that eye to start the second round. He lied to the fucking ref or whatever it was. He lied. There's no way that he could see out of that eye. There's zero chance. Hanato and Manny Moicano lost the second round against Benoit Saint-Denis. And Benoit Saint-Denis was looking sloppy inside that second round, was looking tired after getting beat up. And yet he still was able to wrestle Hanato a little bit and win that second round. Beneil Dariush is a high level no-gi jiu-jitsu player. High level wrestling. This guy has underrated grappling on the ground. And you saw it against Manny Moicano. He's just able to reverse the position and end up on top. He doesn't have to worry about whatever Hanato Moicano has to offer in this submission grappling. He literally would just post up, wait for him to do whatever the fuck he was doing. If he was in a position where he was about to get submitted, he'd just wait. He'd literally just wait until Hanato forces himself out of it, basically. Because if Beneil doesn't move, Hanato can't improve the position. If Beneil just sits right there, and because Hanato is so fucking tired, he can't force Beneil into something. He can't force him into full guard. Can't force him into half guard. He can't force anything. Beneil's just on top of him riding. Just flowing, just being on top. Beneil was landing the better strikes. Beneil was landing the more strikes. Beneil was better on top. Beneil was just landing... Everything was just better. Genuinely, everything was just better for Beneil Dariush. He just looked so good tonight. He was the underdog leading into this fight. They have it sitting here as a minus 115 favorite for Beneil Dariush. This is a fucking lie. We got the pick at a plus 110. It was one of the locks of the week. Hopefully you guys did pick it. If you did, congratulations on the win. Beneil Dariush got us a little bit scared and inside that first round, a little bit chinny. Gets dropped by Hanato Moicano, but has a absolutely beautiful second and third round. Beats up Manny Moicano. Manny Moicano even puts his hand up thinking that he won the fight at the end of the third round. You're a fucking goof. You lost. And all the people taking the side of Manny Moicano, the 70% of people on Tapology who picked Manny Moicano, you guys are absolutely disrespectful. The fact that Beneil Dariush took 2 years off should tell you everything. This guy is trying to work on the fact that he got beat the fuck up and he needs to recover his brain, which clearly he did because he got dropped and he looked a lot better in getting dropped. When he got dropped by Manny Moicano, he reacted like that. Fast, very fast. He went right to a leg. Guess what he did before? Guess what he did before against Armin? He got rocked and just fucking fell apart. Charles rocked and fell apart. This guy fell apart. He looked better getting rocked in this fight, which would have been his, what, 6th knockout loss? It would have been his 6th knockout loss if he lost by knockout tonight. It would have been his 6th. Literally his 6th knockout loss. And this guy looked better in this knockout situation than he did ever. Literally looked like he has everything about him for this fight. Very good win for Beneil Dariush. Unfortunately, did not look like he was happy with the win. He was talking about how this is what he doesn't care about, fame or money. He just cares about what God instilled in him, and this is what he wants to do. But he looked almost depressed talking about it, almost like he doesn't want to fight anymore. Almost like he was hoping that this fight was a loss so that he could retire. A little bit worried for Beneil Dariush there. Maybe I won't take him on the next fight because of that reason. But it's still a fantastic win and a nice win over the haters that were just pushing Manny Moicano all week, especially Matty Betts, who's just sucking his dick all week. Unfortunately, your boy does not get it done, and I think we should have all seen that coming. Now, next on the main card of the evening, this is literally the featured bout of the evening. This is probably the featured bout of the year. This was fight of the night, and honestly, it could have been fight of the last decade. Joshua the Fearless Van versus Brandon Raw Dog Royval. We lead into a first round where these guys are brawling. We're brawling. We're starting the heat. Joshua Van wins the first round. It seems that he's landing the better shots. Brandon's clipped a couple times. Okay. Now we should be stressed out about the fact that Brandon Royval has some good grappling. He never utilized it once inside this fight. So I'm just going to spoil it now. He didn't utilize the grappling once inside this fight. Granted, Royval usually amplifies on defensive grappling and, you know, defensive sweeps and defensive reversals and stuff like that. He doesn't really go for the offensive grappling, which is understandable, especially because his hands are so good and his frame is so much larger than Joshua Van in this fight. You would have liked to see, you know, the pressure. Royval was throwing good knees. He's throwing good jabs up the middle, the double jab, the triple jab for Joshua. Just throwing stuff, especially inside that first round. He was throwing a lot of stuff. Threw what, 80 strikes, only landed 20. Throwing a lot. Just Just what do you got? What do you got, Van? What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? What are you gonna throw at me? Bang bang. What do you got? Uppercut. Bang bang. Knee up the middle. Bang bang. What do you got? He's not. He's like a Nick Diaz. He's not throwing super heavy, but he's just he's just got to see what you got. He's got to see if you're able to do something. What are you gonna do? And Joshua Van did not give a shit. Joshua Van inside those situations would step back, overhand, would step back, overhand, left hand, would step back, jab, right, and like just. He started picking apart Royval with the better shots. Lead into the second round, Brandon Royval is landing fucking significant output. I'm pretty sure he landed double of the output that Joshua Van landed. And if you really want to call it double the output, you can't, because Joshua Van's landing the more significant strikes. He's landing big damage on Brandon Royval. He's got him hurt. He's got him rocked. He's got him bleeding out of the nose. And then Joshua Van starts bleeding out of the nose in round 2. And then he starts eating a couple double jabs. And then he eats a double jab right hook. And then he eats those knees at the middle that are so good for Brandon Royval. Very big knees. The knees and the uppercuts for Brandon Royval were the money makers. The money makers. He should have abused that shit all night against Joshua Van. Joshua Van is small. He leaves his hands in traditional boxing stance. He's a boxer. He leaves his hands in traditional boxing. It's very slick boxing. Very slick. Very, very slick. Good leg kicks from Joshua Van, but more of a boxer, right? The uppercuts and knees would have done money for Royval. He did throw them a little bit later in the fight, but that's kind of when Van was already starting to read them. That little stomp kick that Joshua Van was doing too inside that third round, every time Brandon Royval would step in with that double jab, he'd stomp on that right lead leg, and it would buckle Royval, and he'd just come back with a 1-2. Really quick. Really beautiful work from Joshua Van. Really picked apart Brandon Royval, really figured out where he was going to be able to get those perfect strikes. We led into a third round, which was very fucking close. The judges looked like they were going to have to snort some fucking meth and remember what the hell happened in this fight, because or maybe smoke some salvia and fucking live in that octagon for 12 years and try and remember what happened, because there ain't no way they were going to be able to judge it. And then Joshua Van gets an absolute crazy knockdown, puts Brandon Royval down on the ground with, 30 seconds to go or something like that, and very, very obviously wins the fight. It's just, you can't give the first round to Royval because of damage. His output was good, but it just wasn't there. Round 2, you can clearly give to Royval because of the output, but arguably you could have given it to Joshua Van. Joshua Van, I think there was a 130-27 on that card. Joshua Van realistically landed the better strikes in that second round. He just did. He landed the larger punches. He landed the more devastating shots. Joshua Van never really looked like he was hurt. Brandon Royval got clipped pretty good in that second round and looked like he was like rocked pretty bad. He's snapping his head back, head going all the way back, bleeding, not looking good. That third round was close, but the knockdown sealed it. Joshua Van wins by unanimous decision. Literally, they have it at number 12 for best MMA fight of 2025. I don't believe that whatsoever. Muhammad versus Della Maddalena being number 1 is a fucking joke. I would give Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval that fucking tag any day of the week. That was an absolutely insane fight. A fantastic win for Joshua Van. This was confirmed by Dana White in the press conference, which I don't trust regardless. But it was confirmed on the UFC 317 live stream, which I trust because they're saying it to the public now. Joshua Van now gets a title shot at Alexandre Pantoja for the belt. This was a title eliminator. Brandon Royval is going back down inside the flyweight division and trying to rebuild himself up now. It seems as though in this position, Brandon Royval is going to have to make the change and move up to bantamweight. There is no way he's going to beat Pantoja. There is no way he's going to beat Joshua Van, especially if he keeps improving at the rapid rate that he is at 23 years of age. Joshua Van has only been practicing for 5 years. Joshua Van was, I believe, 19 when he started practicing. Or 18. Wait, this guy's almost a fucking UFC champion. It's been 5 years. You guys remember that when you sleep at night. You guys remember that when you look at these fights. You can be whatever you want in this world. 5 years could get you to a UFC title. Remember that. It's real. Joshua Van did not practice that long. Joshua Van is literally a primary boxer. This guy learned boxing and then switched to MMA. Joshua Van is a fucking beauty. This is the absolute definition of what a mixed martial artist could be. This is a definition of what your dreams could be. Follow them. Joshua Van wins by fucking unanimous decision. Absolutely beautiful. That leads us into the next, which is the co-main event of the evening. If you guys did enjoy it so far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you have not already. We had Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France, and it wasn't even close. Not one round did Kai Kara-France win. The grappling in rounds 1, 2, and 3 are what won Alexandre Pantoja the rounds. Kai Kara-France just does not have the defensive grappling capable in order to deal with Pantoja. He just doesn't. It's literally non-existent. It's genuinely non-existent. There was nothing that Kai Kara-France could have done in this situation other than knock out Pantoja that would have won him the fight. If Kai Kara-France did not win the first 2 rounds, he was not going to win the fight. And I said that inside my best bets. I said if Kai Kara-France gets through the first 2 rounds, he's going to get submitted into the third because Pantoja's going to grab his back. He's going to be a little bit gassed, and he's going to leave up a position. And what is that right there? What do you guys see right there? Alexander Pantoja wins by submission in round 3. We get it perfect. We smashed it. Pantoja just... The back control, the body triangle of Pantoja is a fucking problem. Kai Kara-France could have leaned towards that ankle side of Pantoja and could have slipped the leg out multiple times. He was not listening to his corner. He was not listening to the advice that anyone was giving him. He was not listening to the fact that, literally, in that first round when he had the body triangle in, if he just rolled, what side was on the right side? If he rolled to the right side, peeled the leg out, now you lose the body triangle. Now you can breathe. Body triangles are not fucking nice, bro, because they rip so much pressure on your stomach, you can't breathe properly. And then Pantoja's like fucking just trying to cover this guy's mouth and shit, and just trying to force him to breathe. Oh, he's on his back, ripping his back. He's got top control. And he's putting his knee on his stomach and shit. He's putting shoulder pressure down. He's literally making it so Kai Kara-France can't breathe, and that's exactly what he should have done. He gassed him in round 1. He gassed him in round 2. We lead into our round 3. Kai Kara-France gives up the takedown so fucking easily, gets his back taken right away, and gets submitted. Fantastic win for Alexander Pantoja, and still the greatest flyweight of all time, and still one of the greatest mixed martial artists in the world, and still arguably the greatest expression of mixed martial arts we have in the UFC right now. This guy does everything well. He was getting a little bit gassed, I'm not going to lie, inside that second round. Or third round. You could tell Pantoja was breathing a little bit heavy, but I think it was because he could feel the finish was coming. He could feel that he was going to be able to get Kai Kara-France. He was just taking a little bit of a break inside that second half of the second round so he could come out and blitz him in the third round. Fantastic win for Pantoja. The grappling and the submission offense is just fucking next level. Kai Kara-France couldn't even get started. And when Kai Kara-France and him were striking, Pantoja was landing the better shots. Granted, Pantoja ducks his head a lot when he throws. A knee or an uppercut will put Pantoja out. If he fights anyone with half-decent boxing, he'll probably get fucking tagged pretty good. Joshua Van might be indicative of that. And if we go later in the fight, I can see Joshua Van piecing him up. Meanwhile, Pantoja's getting a little bit tired. But that's for another day. That leads us into our main event of the evening. Smash that like button, boys. We had Ilia El Matador Topuria versus Charles do Bronx Olivera, the champ versus the people's champ. And it wasn't even close. Charles Olivera attempted to clinch early. That's exactly what you should have done. Very early on, you saw that Charles Olivera is the much bigger fighter. He's a much larger fighter. His frame's big. The grappling was going to be his house. Really, it was going to be his house. He was going to fucking go there. If he got Topuria to the ground, I could see his submission coming for do Bronx like that. Instead, we have Ilia Topuria and Charles Olivera boxing in the middle of the octagon with only half a round gone, which I couldn't believe that Olivera was willing to box with this guy to set up a takedown. I would have forced the clinch like that. Fuck all that. I would not have dealt with anything that Ilia Topuria has in his hands. This guy has real cinder blocks in his hand. I wouldn't even fucking test that. I wouldn't even test the boxing. I would force right into takedowns. If I'm gassed inside that second or third round, I should know I'm getting knocked out because only way I'm winning this fight is by forcing a takedown on Ilia Topuria. I weigh 210 pounds. Even if I was in fight shape right now, even if I had been training for like 3 more years or something, I would never take a fight against Ilia Topuria, and it's specifically because of his fucking power. I will get fucking knocked. Anyone will get knocked out by that guy. I don't give a fuck how many takedowns I throw. I throw a takedown from fucking White out, that guy's uppercutting the shit out of me into the next shadow roll. Ilia Topuria was celebrating his fucking victory on Friday night. You know how insane that is? This guy was celebrating his victory the night before. The night before he was having drinks and getting drunk with his family. The night before he was eating a bunch of fucking food. The night before! He goes in here and knocks out... He knocked out Charles fucking cold. Charles literally went out flat, staring at the ceiling. Like fucking... Like Jack Hermanson earlier. Just out. He was out! Like cold, like bad. Fantastic win for Ilia Topuria. Wins the lightweight title of the world. Arguably could have been double champ. Has both belts around him. And Ilia Topuria moves on to be one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. He moves on to be one of the GOATs. He moves on to be arguably in the Mount Rushmore at this point of GOATs. He has knocked out Alexander Volkanovski in round 2. He has knocked out Max Holloway in round 3. He has now knocked out the people's champ, Charles do Bronx Olivera in round 1. And it wasn't even past a half a round. It was under half a round. It was 2:27 on the clock. The over-under for the fight was 1.5. We didn't even get half a fucking round. I had him by knockout. I had him in round 2. I thought we would have seen some grappling and Ilia just get pissed off inside the fucking second and force it on Charles. Didn't even get there. Charles gets put out cold and is leaning on his back, snoring. That's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoy this. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you have not already. This was the recap and breakdown. That's all I got for you guys today. We will take a look at next week's card coming up. It is, I believe, an absolutely fucking horrendous card in Derek Lewis versus Talisha Teixeira, if I'm not mistaken. There is a couple good bouts on the card. Vitor Petrino's getting fed Austin Lane. Gabriel Bonfim's taking on Stephen Thompson, which is a really good fight. Calvin Kattar taking on Steve Garcia. Fantastic fight. Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tucos is a fucking can war. Nate Landwehr. You know, like a lot of good fights. A lot of really, really good fights on this. I'm not going to lie. So we're going to just be happy with it. We're going to be happy with the fact that at least we get some good fights, even though Talisha Teixeira is a fucking bum and Derek Lewis could probably knock him out. That's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoy this. I will talk to you guys all later. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Peace.